Do you feel that you're taking your proper responsibility in the fallout of your kids?
Don't want to admit I'm wrong sometimes.
Why is that?
Don't like being wrong.
No one does. That's ownership.
I mean, there was a point in my life when I was concerned about everybody.
You're concerned about everybody as long as they sang to your tune, as long as they agree with everything you believe in.
Hey besties, welcome back to my channel. What would happen if Kody Brown was actually held accountable and didn't exist on a network like TLC where he sat in a tell-all and was fielded softball questions about the demise of his family, where he was allowed to gaslight, lie, and deflect about his role and responsibility in the demise of what he did to his children and to the women in his life. For years, Kody has completely avoided any level of accountability, any level of, culpability for what he's done. He's never been held accountable with the law. He's never been arrested. He's been able to run around from state to state to state, even though during the complete and totality of the show, while the show was airing, Kody was committing a crime of polygamy. Some people don't like that polygamy is a crime, but it is. It's a felony in the state of Arizona. It's against the Arizona Constitution. It's a felony in Utah, even though they say it's not. It's a felony in every single state, and it's a felony in the country, in the federal government. Why? Because it puts women in a subjugated role where they are submissive and must obey their husbands. Why? Because children are viewed as collateral and property, and women are traded and bartered from man to man so they can achieve their glory in heaven. Women are a price, they are an item, they are a token, they have no rights. Kody thrived in that kind of environment, and then TLC enabled that. And now he is dealing with the fallout. And the only time I've ever seen him ever held to the task is in this latest clip. And I don't know what else is going to be addressed here, but I will say that at least these men aren't buying what he's selling.
I don't think you're being honest with me.
I'm the discrepancy. I should have had a stronger relationship with my children.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
So what are you going to do about that?
And I'm at a place in my life now where I'm very willing to say that I've been wrong.
When Kody actually admits he's wrong, I still don't believe that he feels it. I don't believe that he thinks it. I don't think that he even acknowledges it, because I feel like if he actually believed he was wrong, he would be taking steps to change what he's done to people. And he hasn't done any of those things. Like here, he's using tears and acting as though he's the victim and that he's seeking sympathy by crying. And then also he's probably crying because he feels shame that he's being called out and criticized. And it all feels like so self-serving to me. He says this on a show where he's not with his family. He says this on a show with a completely different audience. And it feels really manipulative. It feels as manipulative to me as when Robin uses tears to cry about how she's the victim of the family. Like, I'm at a place now in my life where I'm willing to admit that I was wrong. And then before saying that, he says that he doesn't take blame because he refuses to acknowledge that he's wrong, because he doesn't like to be wrong. And the guys tell him, you only accept people so long as they do what you want them to do. And none of this has changed. He's still the same Kody. If Kody were on the TLC set, he would never say this. He would never admit he was wrong, ever. Literally ever. I feel like the only reason he would admit he was wrong is if it meant that he actually could get out of it. So he could stop the public bleeding. So he could stop the criticism, right? But let's continue.
You taking ownership right now?
My failures was because I didn't know about being a good dad and husband, and I thought I did. I really thought I did. And I misunderstood that. And I did it wrong in so many ways, and I hated being blamed for it. And so it made me resistant to ownership.
So the level of the self-pitying narcissist that's trying to make everyone think that he's being vulnerable and whatever, remove all of that and listen to what he said. I didn't know how to be a father, and that's why I screwed up. I didn't know how to be a good man or a father or a good husband, and so that's why I screwed up. So it's just a way to sort of like say I didn't have the skill set. It's deflecting from the responsibility that he chose. He had the opportunity to have the skill set and become a better person. He chose not to be. And then for him to then say that he resisted being wrong, you resisted being wrong so that because you hate being wrong, right? I hate being wrong. I resisted being wrong. So that's why you mistreated everyone. What that actually says to me is that Kody, for the longest time, has known since day one that all of this is his fault. What this tells me is that Kody has manipulated everyone around him to be a talking head for him, to be a puppet, a little flying monkey, lashing out at Christine, lashing out at Mary, lashing out at Janelle, lashing out at his kids, blaming his children for the lack of relationship, blaming his children for not being obedient, blaming his wives for not being obedient, blaming his wives for ruining the family, blaming his wives for whatever it is that he blamed his wives for. And anytime today, still, if they share their side of the story, he still comes back and says a completely different story and he continues to lie because it's so ingrained in him that he cannot accept that he's wrong ever, that he's going to blame everyone else. So, really, what this tells me is that you'll never be able to trust a word that he says because Kody is always lying. And think of how sinister that is. If he knows that he's wrong and he's blaming other people intentionally and making them feel like it's their fault and he knows it's not, think of how disgusting that is. And think of that if that was your dad. Think if that was your husband. What does that tell you? That's actually abusive. It's gaslighting. And Kody will use tears and a sob story to justify this, but he still doesn't take ownership in my mind. Really, what this shows to me is that Kody is a complete and utter villain, sinister, cruel, just not a good person.
Yeah,
I-
that resistance or not wanting to be blamed, it's very adolescent way of looking at things.
I'll take that.
Take it. Because the fault's at you.
Yes, Dad.
No one else. You.
It's probably the best thing I've ever heard anyone say directly to Kody is that it's a very adolescent way to handle your life. He's telling him he's acting like a child. He's telling them he's behaving childish and immature, and he's refusing to be an adult, be a man, and take responsibility. You know, for all of Kody's quote unquote manliness, the least manly thing that he has ever done is the way he treats people around him. Because I feel like I have a good husband and I don't and could not imagine my husband treating my son the way that Kody treats his children. I can't imagine him treating me that way. And I'm not into gender roles, but there's this inherent instinct in many men that they want to protect their loved ones. They want to fight for them. And Kody never does that. He's the opposite of what so many people and men strive to be is a protector. He is the guy, he's like Ryan Reynolds. He's going to put his kids in front of everyone else. He'll like use them as a human shield. He'll use his wives as a human shield. If people were going to come down to the house and try to attack his family, he would let them go out first. He would never consider actually protecting them from anything. The only reason I think he actually protects, quote unquote, anyone is to keep them under his control, right? And I don't know what's going to come of this whole conversation. I don't know if these guys even believe anything that they're saying to him. I do know that one of the guys that was in an interview about the show did say that the first time he met Kody, he thought it was really weird and thought he was just very, very strange. Very strange.
And when you really own that, you'll do something about it. Dig deep and keep going.
Yes, Dad.
At least he called him out and said, when you actually own it, you'll actually do something about it. Because until he actually owns that he's the one responsible, he won't do anything. I mean, he's just going to keep doing what he's been doing for years. But in another clip that was shared from Special Forces, Kody is asked by Andrew East about his life in polygamy. And it would appear that he comes up with some more excuses about why he doesn't have a good relationship with his kids. He's asked about, why he lived polygamy, what his thoughts were about it. And I think for the most part, the people that were in this show had no clue who he was. And I don't think any of them really fully grasp what polygamy is. They don't really grasp what the culture is like. I think Kody is someone that is not only just an unusual person, because polygamy doesn't make Kody weird, right? Like, there are men in this culture that don't act like him. There are men in this culture that are not so disconnected from reality and so delusional and so abusive. There's a lot, but they're not all like this. And Cody's concept that he, was groomed for this or whatever that he's been sort of saying lately on Sister Wives doesn't track, because he grew up in a secular home. He grew up when his parents were not in polygamy. He was an adult when they converted. This was not his childhood. So his choice to convert was a choice as an adult. It was after he was on a mission for the church. It's not like he went to public school. So here's how they approached the conversation.
Say the pros and cons of your lifestyle are.
Yeah, I had 18 kids with 4 wives.
Do you see a downside to it, or?
There's been 3 divorces, and I would never do it again. I'd never marry again.
I wonder if, and this is just me, if that Andrew's like really curious. I heard he was on a podcast saying that he enjoyed speaking about polygamy with Kody, but I wonder what would happen if someone actually, when they were speaking about this kind of world with these guys, if they ever said to the guy, but you weren't technically married to at least 2 of the women legally. And when 3 of them left, you were not legally connected to any of them. He was not legally committed to any one of them. Sure, he owned property with them, but owning joint property with someone could be seen as an investment. Having a business together, that they're all in a business together, doesn't show that they are legally bound in terms of a marriage. It just shows that they have a business relationship. It doesn't show that they're legally connected. I mean, I think it upsets me when you kind of watch what these women are going through when they're trying to get him to like do the right thing and give them the money or pay child support. That's just me with my semantics. Like, I wish he would just call it what it was. Like, these weren't divorces, they were splits. And I understand the spiritual side of it, but the only actual divorce he's ever had on paper is Mary. When you consider the power imbalance that created with Kody in terms of the amount of control he had over the women that weren't legally connected to him, and how he didn't have to pay for child support, and he didn't have to pay for their rent, or he didn't have to, take care of their kids. When he's never been legally married to someone, he was able to manipulate them into accepting what he gave them. When the reality is that if it were me and you out here, if a guy was doing that to us and not providing, we would have pushback. We would take legal steps. And they didn't, because they didn't have the control. So it like undervalues the amount of control he had over them. That's all I'm going to say.
There ended up being some bad blood with family over the divorces. And in some cases with my children, communication has ceased.
Why did you choose it?
I was a believer. I grew up in an entire culture that had it as a side note of their belief system.
Were your parents polygamous?
Yeah, my dad had 3 wives.
When you don't have a deep connection with your children, that's a disappointment. But there are certain things I probably won't own. I'll own where I should.
If you don't know Kody Brown from Sister Wives, I just need to remind you that Cody's dad did not become a polygamist until he was in his 50s. Kody was 22 years old when his parents joined a cult called the Apostolic United Brethren. Kody never grew up as a child of parents of polygamy. Rather, he grew up in the mainstream LDS church. He went to public school in Wyoming. He was a wrestling champion, state champion. He went to BYU for maybe like a semester. He did a mission in San Antonio for 2 years. He was not and never was modeled polygamy as a child. He didn't grow up with multiple mothers. All of that is misleading and would make you think that he was groomed to do this when he was not. He made a choice as an adult. To get back to what he was saying about his children, if if you mirror that to what we just heard him say to the drill sergeants, the DSs, he said that he doesn't own things in when he knows that he's wrong. He will not. He said that he doesn't like to be wrong and he will not accept that he's wrong in anything because he doesn't like to be wrong. And so he blames other people. He will not accept responsibility because he doesn't like to be wrong. But here he says it's unfortunate that, there was some bad blood, especially with my kids during the divorces. And I have no contact with them. McKelty has been on these interviews saying that she would invite Kody over or Robin over if they came to her. But Christine was clear that Kody and Robin cut her off. And she said that if Robin said she wanted to come over, she would say yes, she could. And to that, I would say is that Robin is never going to make that call because Robin and Kody don't want anything to do with her. And it's because Kody doesn't want to be held responsible, right? That's my opinion. And here, listen to what he says. It's unfortunate that I don't have a bond with my children, that I don't have a bond with my children. It's unfortunate that I don't have a connection to my kids. The only person responsible for having a connection with your children when you're raising them is you. It's not your child's responsibility to form a connection to you. It's your job to be the parent. Like if your kid is having a bad day, if they need help, if they need some love, that's your job. It's not your job to make your child solve your problems or to be your support. You're supposed to be their support. I think of that a lot as a mom when my son has a hard day at school or if he's, got some feelings about something. It's never about what he's doing to me or if he's frustrated me. We always go back to like, what's this big feeling that you're having? How can I help you? Because it's your job to be the safety for your child. And if there's no bond, it's because you took the time to make no bond. The fault lies on the father. The fault lies on the parent for not making the time. And if you knew that having too many children and too many wives was impeding on that, you shouldn't have been involved in the lifestyle. No one forced you into it. No one held a gun to your head. And here, proving I won't talk to them because I don't want to be blamed. I don't have a connection to them. And it's not my fault. That's the truth. That's him being honest. I don't speak to them because I have no connection to them. He feels nothing. If he felt anything, he would actually care. That's my opinion. My heart would be ripped out of my chest. I would not be able to breathe if I did not have a relationship with my son. I would not be able to function. Kody can function and blame them, which is disgusting. So tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, besties.